Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It's a nice little early Friday evening over here in Chicago, Illinois. As always, wish you well on this nice end to your week. Nice little relaxing and perhaps profitable week as well, as Bitcoin's done all sorts of crazy moves as I make sure that I'm actually recording. Okay, I am recording. My mic might be working, might not be working. I don't even fucking know. My streaming software is so it's so fucking garbage that I never know if it's actually working or not. So I'm gonna be working on actually getting a new setup over this weekend. But for now, gonna be rolling with it. So hopefully this one actually does operate well. And as always, do want to wish you well to this end of the week. And we got plenty to talk about. I want to follow up from this morning's video because there is a massive trade staring us in the face. We have not seen resolution as of just yet, but with the inaction in the lower timeframes, we actually are starting to get clarity on the higher timeframes, I believe, as well. So without further ado, I do want to wish you the best, the happiest, as we like to say. Just always wishing you well over here from Krown's Crypto Cave, and let's initiate that good old teleportation, and I'll see you in that live scene, baby. And actually, we'll start off with this right here, a little bit of proof of trade action, as I am going to trade myself. I did buy on the last test of support at around 10,350, 10,300-ish region. I did it on these December futures right here, as you can see, because they do have like a massive premium on them, right? So it's about 300, or sorry, about a couple $100, $250 below spot price right now, is where I kind of bought them in at, running about a 0.5, basically half Bitcoin profit right now. So we'll be holding on to that as long as we kind of are within this region right here, as I do kind of start to look at this as flagging out in the way that Bitcoin kind of does its more prolonged consolidations, these very droopy and nasty and fucking sloppy consolidations. But I do kind of like what I see here, and I do think that it's worth a trade. And more importantly, it's just a lot easier to manage. So basically, the reason why I'm taking this trade is because I got in on a test of this massive support right here. So whenever we come down to a major support or a major resistance, I'm always happy to take a trade, especially if it's on the side of the overall macro trend. So in this case, it'd be the upside, as the macro is still very much unchanged, even with all of the nastiness that we've seen over the past, over this past week. So I did take a trade off this region right here. I'll be managing anywhere below 10,350. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like a non-lose trade, no matter what. I get to lock in some profit, but I would like to see this actually break to the upside. And what I'm kind of looking at right now is exactly what we spoke about during this morning's video. And it's a 4-hour total time frame right here. I'm going to take everything off except for the 50 and the 200 exponential moving averages, which are going to be represented by the green and purple moving averages right here respectively. And you can see that right now Bitcoin is still stuttering along this region, as I make sure, hey, get the fuck off there. My god, everything's so messed up with my computer right now. I apologize for this. I also apologize for my autistic outrages. It's probably even more annoying, as I make sure that everything's working over here. Okay, hopefully it is. You never know. You never know in this fucking game. But looking at this right now, we actually do see yet again another rejection off the purple 200 exponential moving average right here, which is 10,561. So we've still been unable to close any sort of a 4-hour doodle above there, and right now we actually are kind of selling off this region. So the only way that I really get bearish off this, and bearish is still not the right term, because bearish refers to like a macro downtrend, right? And we're not really in any sort of danger in creating a macro downtrend. We're in danger of of continuing a daily downtrend, absolutely, which can result in probably like $2,000 down. But until we actually fully and formally cross these guys to the downside, I really don't want to be getting too damn bearish within this region, as we've seen a lot of price action kind of originate here and kind of being pulled into it. So we do know, no matter what, that whichever way that this does get resolved, extremely likely that we do see a lot of fall through on that side. So if it does come to the downside, we will have short-term targets around 9,600, 9,500, somewhere down around here. If I put on my drawing tools, I should already have it kind of mapped out. Yeah, right around here would be the next target that I'm looking at, about 9,650-ish region. And then over time, I think that we'd kind of work our way lower. The next target would be about 92, and then probably into the upper 8,000s, like around 8,800. So about a $2,000 move we're looking at from here, a little bit less than that. And by the same token, if we actually can avert this death cross, which again right now it's still being averted, to be fair, however, with each and every passing 4-hour doodle that gets set in stone that is actually below these two moving averages, it does get closer to actually confirming a death cross. But for right now, still more or less okay, if you want to say it like that. And more importantly, if we do get back above this region, then that will likely avert it, at least for now. However, really to the upside, it's a little bit more tricky, as it's not just as simple as closing 4-hour doodles above this region. Now, of course, that would help, no doubt about that. But what we really want to see for a full-on confirmation, in my opinion, is both opening and closing a 4-hour doodle above this region at the very least, and then preferably getting a 4-hour doodle close above this blue box territory right here. In fact, both these blue box territories are of equal importance, one for the upside, one for the downside. And I would go as far as saying that, hey, if we actually do take out this low of this dildo right here, which would also be likely confluent with taking out this blue box to the downside, then we will initiate those downside targets, again, 9,600 and then 9,200 and then probably around 8,800. Of course, we'll have to like reassess along the way, and there's going to be balance. It's not going to happen like that. It always really scares me that I don't do a good job in kind of relating these ideas when someone like will comment on videos like, it happened and you're wrong. It's like, it's literally been an hour since we got confirmation. Give it a couple days, man. Give it a couple days. A lot of these times these things move at like a snail's pace. But I hope I am clear on that, just because if we do initiate either the upside or the downside, it's not like we just hit those targets like a snap of the Nicholas Martin's fingers. It's more, it's going to take like a little bit of a longitudinal time frame. When we're looking at, days and days of price action, it's probably going to take, well, days and days, really. I mean, perhaps even a week. It's crazy, right? anyways, looking at this right now, like I said, it can be just as easy as waiting for one of these blue boxes to break, or we get a death cross. If we get a death cross before the blue boxes are broken, I'd say that that's probably going to be good enough for me for looking for some downside trades. I will put on some short exposure using options. And by the same token, if we do crawl our way back up around here, I don't really feel any need to add. I kind of like this risk-free position that I have right now with the stop and profit. But if I were looking to trade perhaps I don't know if I'd call this breakup, but perhaps, some upwards momentum, anywhere above here would look good to me, and we could target moves respectively towards about 11,200 would be the first target. The second target would be likely around here at about 11,800. And after that, I don't really have, real target areas after that. However, if we took out this area to the upside, we'd probably be looking at another run towards 12,000 plus if that were to happen. But for right now, really want to take the deductive the deductive perspective within this, just because looking at Bitcoin, I don't think that it's appropriate time to really be aggressive either which way. Like I said, the only reason why I'm in position right now is because I got an easy trade-off support, and I'm pretty much always going to take those, especially on the overall side of the trend. Looking at 4-hour oscillators, we're actually crossing down right now, and this will confirm on the next tick. The next tick also going to be confluent with the daily dildo close as well. So there's multiple things going on right here. While the 4-hour Stokes have been pretty damn good at getting the actual price action, we do see 4-hour RSI doing some interesting here. We actually did catch wind of the exponential and are kind of marching our way through the neutral zone for the first time in about 10 days or so. So we are actually having a little bit of a change of behavior with regards to this. However, the problem is that no matter which way you kind of cut this guy, you can both make an equal case for this being a lower high, and you could also make an equal case for this potentially being a higher low. Obviously, the bulls are looking at this as a higher low. Obviously, the bears are looking at this as a lower high. Both are actually equally right as it stands right now. Of course, that also means that if we bring back up these drawing tools right here, any sort of move above this region right here, that's going to obviously make this a higher high and destroys the case for a lower high. Then that's why I can say that we'd switch around to bullish for a little bit of time. This would start to really look like a bear trap, and then kind of run it the other way, likely very fast. By the same token, if we take out this blue box to the downside right over here, even just tick below this current low right here, no longer do you really have like a higher low. I mean, technically you would still have a higher low until you get down around here, but overall, you could see that would really open up the floodgates. So I could really, synthesize things down into that sort of a range. 10,000 to the downside, if you want to be a little more aggressive, maybe 10,150 to the downside with a closure below there, or to the upside about 10,850. Any sort of a close, above this region right here would look pretty damn good to me. I do want to go through the lower time frames where we are here, just because they actually have been getting the price action pretty damn well. And let's actually put on everything back on right here. Let's put on the 21, the 89, the 377, the 10, and the 200. There we go. And you do see that Bitcoin, as far as the hourly is looking like right here, is really just in a consolidation area field, which is exactly what you should be seeing right now. No real surprises here. We do see historical volatility percentile just dropped off a cliff. I mean, very rarely do you see it actually just go from fucking super red to pretty damn cool right down here. And that would suggest that we are nearing the completion of this formation right now, which if you look at it on a lower time frame, it does look likely kind of like a flag, a bull flag in a sense, which would imply reaccumulation, which would imply bullish resolution. But more importantly, we do see the two moving averages that are kind of governing price action right now. The 200 exponential moving average, this purple moving average right here, also the 200 simple right here, the white, kind of governing the resistance, and our supports being governed by the 50 exponential moving average to the downside. So whichever way that we kind of, break these two moving averages, likely going to have implications for the bigger picture. This would probably be the lowest time frame that I'd be comfortable with in trading and looking for confirmation. Although, of course, it goes without saying, higher time frame, more confidence in in actually looking for a confirmation. I'd say 4 hours probably the better one for that. Again, anywhere outside of these blue boxes, but hourly probably gets the job done as well, equally as well, just because we're kind of coming to the end of whether this can be considered a healthy consolidation or whether this is going to be a continuation pattern to the downside. As I said, the historical volatility percentile is extremely low right now, and this is where we typically do originate some pretty massive moves. Actually, last time that we were this low was right over here before this nasty price action all the way down. Time before that when we were this low was all the way on over here on 20th of June before this breakout from 93 pretty much all the way to 14,000. No stops along the way, and then the time before that was out of this base right on over here. Same sort of reaction. So that's what I want to talk about right now, just because we are starting to see some things really align for a timing of this big of this next big move to the tune of and like I said, probably about $1,000 to $2,000 on this next move over time. Again, not gonna happen exactly immediately. And I take a sip of this water, man. I am damn thirsty. Just one moment, please. Oh, so much better, man. So much better. I just ate three pounds of ground beef today. It was fucking phenomenal. Oh my God, man. Love it. Absolutely love it. Anyways, let's get back on over and check out the daily, as we haven't really even looked at this guy just yet. And daily's in a very, very precarious place as well. The reason why this is an issue is because if we get stifled here, which is right at the daily 21 exponential moving average, this is going to be considered a lower high on a daily total time frame. Of course, you can see that we're just playing between the yellow 21 and the green 50 exponential moving average right here, and this would suggest once again a consolidation. However, the big point with this is that if we actually put on the more traditional way of doing this, and this is something that my mentor used to use a lot with mostly simple moving averages, we're going to bring up the red 10 simple, the yellow 21 exponential moving average, and then where's my blue 30? That's not a blue 30. Let's redo this right over here. We'll do 30 right there. There we go. All right, and sorry, the green's going to be represented by the 30 simple moving average. So this is one of the things that my mentor used to use a lot. He used the 21, the 10, the 21 exponential, the 10 simple, and the 50 simple as well. And when all these guys are in a in a similar posturing with the same slope, that is when you get strong trending plays. As you can see to the upside right on over here, we have the red 10 simple above the yellow 21, all above the green 50 simple, which they all had a positive slope, and we broke out of this base right here, just straight onwards and upwards, all the way from about 8,100 to 14,000. Then things started to change around while we started to kind of even these guys out right on over here on the 14th of July. And right now we actually do have the red 10 simple looking across the downside of the yellow 21, both with negative slopes. The big one is the 30 simple. That one is actually the most important for slope analysis. And if we are going to trend to the downside, what we're likely going to see is this green 30 simple moving average start to level off and then get a negative slope. If that happens, I will immediately get bearish for a move likely down here actually into the into the mid to low 8,000s actually. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now as it starts to really resolve itself. More importantly, this actually is your traditional sell area. I have not sold it myself, although we do see a lot of downwards pressure on price action right here. And if we throw back on the exponentials, we can see extremely well exactly kind of what Bitcoin's resolving right now. Going back on over here, if we do end this daily doodle like this, which seems pretty likely as we're only about an hour and 3 minutes away from the daily doodle close, then it'll be pretty damn easy to trade this one. If we do trade above the high of today, which is about 10,800, then I would be looking for continuation likely into the 11,200-ish region. It's likely going to resolve this whole thing to the upside, initiate all of those next steps. By the same token, if we do take out this guy to the downside, just a low of this dildo, not even closing below, but just a low of this dildo at 10,111 on GDAX or Coinbase Plug, or whatever the fuck they call it now, then I'd be looking for moves extremely likely down here towards low 9,000s, and then probably over time into the upper 8,000s, middle 8,000s, again over time. So this is a pretty dire area right now as we do kind of resolve all these all these major questions with Bitcoin. If we essentially want to if we're done with this consolidation as a correction, we're ready to move back up to the upside, or if we are going to play this out for a longer time and drag this on out likely into the mid to low 8,000s. So that's kind of what's at stake right now. Of course, there are plenty of things that match up with those downside targets. I do want to show this really, really quickly right now. The yellow 21 exponential moving average as as a first and foremost primary type target. That's typically where your strong markets. During strong trends, the markets will typically come back and test the 21, whether it's to the upside or the downside. You can see that to the upside right over here, we've been kind of running it and holding it pretty damn well. Although we haven't really tested it yet. We haven't really tested it since April. And you can see, if we go all the way back on over into the past prior market cycles, it's had some pretty damn good confluences. In fact, you can't really see it too well right now because I have all of them on. But if we take all these guys off, except for the red 10 simple and the yellow 21, you can see very easily that Bitcoin does play a lot off the yellow 21. During its strong trends to the upside, it'll just pop back down in the corrections and kind of test it. And even during the downtrends, it'll pop up, test it, and those are great sells all the way down. And then same thing, in this market cycle right on over here, and then same thing more recently during 2018, 2019, and right now we actually haven't had any real tests on it. So there's a couple of big things to be aware of. First and foremost, CMEs are going to be closing tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So that's literally in 1 minute. So they're going to close pretty much exactly where we are right now, unless we have just the minute pump or dump from hell, which this is fucking cryptocurrency land. Definitely possible. Definitely fucking possible. But this is actually going to be interpreted as a pretty damn good reaction off the red 10 simple. So that the thing is that this does kind of like lay down the foundation for spot charts over the weekend, because spot charts don't set in their weekly until Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, whereas CMEs will do it today. Well, they basically just don't trade over the weekend, so you can say that today is basically all that they're going to get in basically 1 minute at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So the way that this ends is going to have massive implications into the way that the spot charts look. And as you can see right now, if we do end like this, this is going to look like a bull wick in a great defense of the red 10 simple. Now, like I said, the 21 exponential moving average is like a very, very normal target for healthy markets to pull back to in both bull and bear markets. The red 10 simple is a more aggressive target, and extremely strong assets will only come back to their red 10 simple and then bounce off that. And as you can see right now, we are this is confirmed now. This is a pretty good reaction off the red 10 simple, and I really would have to start to entertain the possibility that this actually does have a damn good chance to break to the upside. And if I'm putting my opinion on it, which I do not trade my opinion, but if I was sharing my opinion, which is worthless to be 100% clear, I do think that this actually does break to the upside, especially with the way that we kind of just ended this weekly dildo on CMEs. I mean, this is powerful shit. Looking at the daily, we didn't do anything of interest on the daily. We neither confirmed above the yellow 21 exponential moving average or had a massive sell-off. This is not very helpful right here, actually. And in fact, this would be a little bit more leaning to the downside, to be fair, as I do watch spot charts pump back up. Let's see if my position's doing all right. Nice. Six over the Bitcoin. Not bad. But going back on over to CMEs right on over here. When we open back up on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, then we can do the nice, a very deductive and easy play on these guys right on over here. If we take out the downside of this current dildo at 10,130, looking for moves back down in this region right on over here. If we take out the top side of this guy at 10,845, and if spot charts even trade above or below one of these points, by end of day, then I'd be looking for a move at at the very least to 11,200, and then probably 11,800, and then probably 12,500-ish region. We'll get to that if that does indeed happen. But my point is that we're not really getting too much off of CMEs right now. We do see daily Stokes on CMEs getting way far down there. They are looking a little bit more weak to the downside, but we don't see any sort of crosses just yet. What about 12 hours? Do we see anything on 12-hour Stokes? 12-hour Stokes are actually just freshly having a cross the upside, and these have been really, really good for CMEs, actually. Even more precise than the spot charts 12-hour Stokes. The last cross that we got to the downside perfectly called the top right here for about a $3,000, $4,000 $2,000 move to the downside. The last cross that we had to the upside happened right on over here for a nice $2,000 move to the upside. And the last cross that we had to the downside before that was basically calling the top. And the last cross that we had to the upside before that was right on over here. And I know that you can't really see this in the background, but this was on the 7th of June. And that was out of this base at 8,000 before we rallied up to 14,000 plus on CME futures. So my point is that, you know, these have been pretty damn good, and we actually are having a fresh cross the upside out of the critical zone, out of the bearish critical zone, which typically, you know, has been pretty damn generous for Bitcoin as of recent times. But remember, these do not trade over the weekend, so the weekend is just going to be ripe with factory left, right, and center as it typically is. So with regards to what we're looking at, let's actually get off this chart right here. Why do I only have a few moving averages here? Ah, that's why, because I only have a few selected, of course. Duh, motherfucker. Anyways, back on the spot charts right now. Let's go back on over here to GDAX. Again, the problem with what's making these charts difficult right here is just the fact that we don't. is mostly the fact that we keep on getting stuck at this point right here. We know it's an obvious inflection point on the market. That means if we can get above it, likely going to open up the floodgates for moves much higher. It also means that if we break this to the downside, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same kind of interpretation for a move to the downside. Of course, not really saying anything crazy there. Of course, 12-hour Stokes on spot, looking a little bit better, looking a little bit more mature than what we saw on CMEs. More importantly, 12-hour RSI looks good to me. We have kind of rallied off the test of the exponential right here after living below it for the last 10 days or so, and we actually just got out of the bearish control zone for the first time. We're going to likely confirm it on this next tick within about 56 minutes and 0 seconds, so 56 flat, and with each and every passing second going down now. So yeah, again, overall looking good, and I do think that likely aligns with this probably breaking up to the upside. I would say that just overall, just as like an aside, it's an overall good sign that Bitcoin's really gathering price action right here and putting up a fight. This is where the bears do want to take control, and if the bulls can avert this death cross, that's going to be interpreted as massively good. And let's actually just talk about the death cross for a second, because historically speaking, this has massive implications with Bitcoin, and we do see the last time that we actually got a cross on these guys was a golden cross, of course, to the upside, which was right on over here, right at the 15th of February, pretty much calling the beginning of the bullish momentum for the next 6 months, going all the way from about 3,500 to basically 14,000 essentially over time. The last few death crosses that we had, these ones were obviously during a bear market, so they're going to likely have a greater degree of magnitude. But I just want to show that when we cross them, they typically play out for a long time. This cross right in over here happening in September and leading us all the way basically until that February cross the upside. This guy right in over here leading up for about like a 20% move to the downside. Yep, right there. And then the time before that, we got a death cross right here leading up for about a 34% move to the downside. Then the time before that, we had a cross right here leading up for a 38% move to the downside, and then the time before that we had a cross right there leading up for a 60% move to the downside. Now those to be fair were all during a bear market, so they're likely going it's going to have major implications, or sorry, bigger implications for bearish crosses. Let's go back to the last bull market and see what the death crosses kind of did during that. What kind of damage did they have? And we certainly do see a few on these more impressive corrections. So this first one right over here, kind of out of that first base, about 28.5% down from cross to finish, if you want to call it that. This guy right over here, kind of crossing it down, giving us about an 18% move to the downside. This guy right over here, giving us about a 23% move to the downside. So still pretty damn large, but you can see that it really doesn't stay death cross for too long. And this guy right over here, about 26%. What about this guy right over here? We have another 26%. So anywhere between about 50, or I'd say 20 to 25%. This one's about 22%, and then obviously the top in Bitcoin being put in right over here. So let's just kind of let's just do a little bit of mental masturbation. If Bitcoin were to get the death cross, which right now it's not going to happen on this next tick, but if it were to get this death cross, then if we were to kind of just take a mean of of those last crosses, we're at about 20% put us down around. It put us down around about 8,500, which is exactly where we saw the weekly 21 exponential moving average, which is incredibly normal for things to kind of come back down and test during during strong trending markets, which is going to be hidden around that 8,400-ish level, likely on the next tick. And then that's also going to be around probably something on the daily, I'd imagine. Yeah, the daily 100 is going to be coming around there, I'd imagine. And then more importantly, we also see the gap on CMEs, which all the gap fuck boys are probably talking about still, when realistically the gap has has been unfilled for well over a month now. So I just want to kind of take a second to talk about this. The gaps are very, 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 very important. Yes, there's a lot of money to be made on trading gaps. Absolutely, there's some phenomenal plays to be made. However, if you are the kind of person who's saying, guys, we have a gap to the downside, I am shorting now, and then wrecked, and then guys, I know I talked about that gap before, but this time it's real. I'm filling this gap whether you like it or not, and wrecked. And guys, I know I said the gap last time was going to be good, and I've lost all my money already, but I promise you, this time the gap's real. Yes, it's real right here. Oh, fuck, it's going back up, and liquidated once again. And again, my point is that, yes, at some point in time, it's extremely likely that we do come back down and fill the gap at some point in time. Could be in some cases I've seen this take years. Now, do I think that Bitcoin's going to take years? Probably not. But my point is that it's not like a black hole that's sucking price action in immediately. It does come into play, but only when price action actually approaches that region is where I look to play a gap, not beforehand. I don't try to think that price action is going to be magnetized into that region immediately. That's just not how it works. Anyways, going back on into spot charts right here. Okay, so the biggest thing right now, again, just kind of synthesize it down and make this no more complicated than really what it needs to be, is these two blue boxes right here. To the upside 10.8, to the downside 10.1. A break above or below that will confirm the range. If we get a death cross with the green 50 below the purple 200 exponential moving average before that would make me look for downside trades. Pretty damn easy. Probably, to those same targets, get the job done. That'd probably be even a little bit more important. And by the same token, if we do close a 4-hour diddle above this region, it would look good. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good for a trade for the more aggressive traders. However, I don't really think that it's, that's not going to be fully done because we have neither confirmed a higher high and we haven't necessarily confirmed that's, that we're going to avert this crisis right here. So just understand that if you are taking that trade, you probably do, you naturally will have a little bit more risk and then you potentially have a little bit more reward as well. Of course, this is not financial advice, not financial advisor, but what I can say is that for myself, I probably wouldn't be taking that trade again because I got in much lower and it's kind of a riskless trade right now. Let's go check out GBDC. How did GBDC close today? Not good. GBDC actually closing the day on the rejection. The interesting thing about GBDC is that GBDC did lead price action a little bit during this week. We saw GBDC move to the upside first, and we saw GBDC move to the downside first, and GBDC closing the day a little bit as a rejection below the yellow 21 is not the best sign, actually. In fact, going back to spot charts right on over here, usually my rules and what I've been saying ever since the 14th of July is that as long as we're below the yellow 21 exponential moving average, technically I'm not really interested in longs, even though the macro trend is still to the upside. I usually won't trade with it, as like a trending trade until we get back above this region right here. Again, the only reason why I took this trade earlier is just because it's kind of like a no-brainer off major support. Very, 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 very likely to give you a riskless, trade with, allowing you to have a stop loss and profit. Anyways, with regards to this, we do have a chance to actually take this out to the upside. Has it happened yet, though? No. Has it confirmed itself? No. In fact, we're still a little bit far away. It's all the way at 10,800. So Bitcoin still got some work to do to prove itself. And that's my point with this, and this is why I have these rules, kind of keep myself out of trouble, because ever since we lost a 21, this has been some pretty nasty price action to the downside, and we've still been unable to get back above it. So that is still, kind of the last of the Mohicans for myself, and going to also be confluent with those same regions. So we're seeing a lot of things line up is really what I want to get out. Of course, we go over here to GDAX as well, and we can put on a nice little Fibonacci. This is a fib from our current low to our current high of this. If you are looking at this as a bullish consolidation, so I'm playing around with it right here. This is not confirmed, but I'm looking essentially for confluences within this to judge, is this what's happening or not? And if this is what's getting played off of, this would align with a more bullish interpretation of this chart. So essentially, again, I'm just basically using this low right here and this high right here. We'll do it with bodies, not wicks on the daily. And let's see if these match up with anything. We do see the 618 coming in exactly where the upside, I believe starts to get initiated again. And we do see the 786 coming in right around here, the lower blue box, which is where the downside gets initiated for me. So I really, really like this actually. And this is a great insight into what the bots and algos are doing right now, because if they are going to be looking at this as a bullish, as a bullish consolidation, a very, very, very volatile and nasty and disgusting bullish consolidation, which is just sloppy in the way that cryptos like to do it, then they'll be buying the 786 and their target's actually going to be be, well, first and foremost the 0.5, but really the 382. So that's where I'm getting those next couple targets from, about 11,200 to 11,600ish region. It's going to be a zone right here, basically up to 11.8. By the same token, if the bots are selling the 618, which right now we're doing both, right? We're just playing between these two ranges for today, basically the yellow 21 and the green 50. If they are selling the 618 in this side wins, then their target's going to be down here at the 886 and then the 942 actually, or is it 941? Whatever it is, it's down around here, which would be our targets to the downside. So I actually really do like the way that this lines up. This would suggest a more bullish consolidation than not, but remember, at the end of the day, it's not until we actually, price action first and foremost. If we break this the other way, I'm going to be saying, but it was a bullish consolidation, said the Fibonacci's. Well, yeah, go fuck yourself with your P&L, right? Let's actually flip this around and do a bearish, consolidation. This is the one that they don't want you to see. And let's see if it matches up with anything right here. Sorry, let's actually do it all the way down here. Now, this is going to get quite nasty, but I'm curious if this actually does line up with anything. Yeah, if you are looking at this as bearish, does it line up? We do see this extension, the 786 coming in right around here. Okay, that works out. The 618, no, I don't think it lines up as well. The 382 makes sense. The 0.5 makes sense. The 618 does not. Yeah, we're not really seeing that play out either. So I'd say it's more likely to be a bullish consolidation based off the fibs, or at least those are the bots that are running it right now, and they're going to be on the buy side is really what I'm trying to describe. But again, this is mostly mental masturbation, price action first. If those areas get hit that we spoke about, that's good enough for me. Looking at Bitcoin expected moves with regards to historical volatility, we actually do see a little bit more of a bullish posturing on this. I would say this is a better setup. Now overall, is it a bullish posturing or is it more of consolidation? It's actually more of consolidation, which we should be able to confirm with historical volatility percentile, which we should see some red action going on this baby right here. And we do. We're actually still even above the moving average on this. So I like that. That would agree with that. And that would still kind of align with this being more of a long form consolidation coming off of a major parabolic high. And, now we're kind of resolving it. It's actually getting picked up in a pretty constructive way, to be fair. Now the top side of this first standard deviation, which is most likely to get hit, would be around 12,200. So that'd be the first target. I think that's a little bit more aggressive than what I'd be comfortable with. And the bottom side would be about 9,900 to the downside. Do I agree with that one? I actually don't agree with that one as much. I'm curious what would happen if I do this. Bollypoor is going to fucking yell at me. But I'm just curious what would happen if I did this. No, it doesn't really change. Yeah, it doesn't change shit. Huh, that's interesting. Anyways, we could probably do, we could try something like this. Let's try this. That actually does get it pretty well as well. And actually I'd agree with this more. We do see the edge of the bottom side of the first standard deviation actually appropriately grabbing price action at 10,100. And we do see the top side agreeing with our next sort of breakout point. I would say though that if we actually even do test this region, we very, 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 very likely accelerate to test the second standard deviation, which is actually at the next target area. So I actually do like the way that this is kind of lining up, and I do think this is actually a better way of looking at it. So Bollypoor, if you are watching right now, check out the open, high, low, close settings on this, as I think it might actually be a little bit better. Just back testing a little bit right here. The consolidation is mostly handled within the first standard deviation. That's a good sign. That's exactly what you want to have something like this saying. And then only on the more extreme price action do we get down to the second or even third standard deviation. But yeah, again, essentially what this is saying is that we do have a little bit more upside pressure here, but more than anything, this is a consolidation. And now in Bitcoin's very weird and bizarre and kind of toxic way, it's a quote-unquote healthy consolidation, if you want to call it that. Anyways, let's go back on to spot charts right now, and let's go check out the other top shitcoins, as I think I've spoken enough ad nauseum on Bitcoin. Or maybe we can talk about the higher time frames just really briefly. I always want to repeat to myself. It's like I tell myself an affirmation that, like, Bitcoin is bullish, Bitcoin is bullish, Bitcoin is bullish on the higher time frames. Of course, does that mean that Bitcoin can have massive moves to the downside? Of course it can. But looking at the monthly right here, I always want to remind myself that monthly Stokes very much erect right now. They are getting past the bearish control zone for the first time in over a year. This did accurately call the momentum being gained out of the last bear market right in over here. There is one concerning thing though with the RSI. The RSI is getting back into the bullish control zone, which is good, yes, but you do see that typically after living away from the bullish control zone or even the bearish control zone, your first test into it typically gets rejected, as you saw right in over here on June 16th of the last market cycle as well. And guess what? This baby lined up for for a pretty nasty retracement of about 37-38%, as you can see right there. So not bad. And Bitcoin moving up a little bit more. So P&L looking good. Okay, great. Nice. Stay safe in SAFU, Mr. Position. But more importantly, with this price action, we also see monthly Jewel actually firing off a decent buy signal, not a super strong one, but a decent one. And if we do put on the Trollander bands right here, we are kind of, we're certainly above the medium band. So no matter which way you cut this, this is more or less okay. And to me, this looks like profit taking coming off the, coming off a test off the last, off the last top Trollander band right here, which is completely normal as well. So I would say that those overall do line up for a more bullish posture of this to actually push the top Trollander bands longer term. But remember, this is a monthly, so going back to that god awful conversation where like sometimes I fear that that maybe I don't do the best job of kind of expressing myself or explaining some of these things in the way that in the way that I should, but when we're looking at a monthly, it's not going to happen today or tomorrow or the next day or the next day. It's going to happen probably over like, a span of like a quarter, right? 3 months is kind of like the trajectory that I'll be looking at. But overall, this would look good for the macro essentially. But as you can see, I mean, we can still have pretty nasty downside moves here. We're dealing with big numbers, man. We're dealing with really big numbers. So that's kind of the issue with that. Anyways, go check out Mr. Beaterall. How's he doing? Get off the fucking monthly for this bitch. He doesn't have enough information for this one. Take off these Trollander bands. Disgusting. And what do we have here? I really want to see Mr. Beaterall end the day above the above the purple 200 exponential moving average. If we could do that, then I'd be looking for a test towards 240, maybe even 245 region. Again, it's going to follow whatever Bitcoin does most likely. Looking at this range right here, you can basically set up the same trade as Bitcoin. If we take out the low of today's daily, sometime this weekend at 213, I'd be looking for trades back down to the low side of the range at 200 and perhaps even lower than that at like 180. By the same token, if Bitcoin breaks to the upside, first target is going to be about 235. Second target will be about 245 region, and then we'll kind of reassess from there. But right now, Mr. Beaterall not really flashing anything of particular interest. Weekly is probably going to take over from here. If we do close this next weekly dildo below the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which is 225.5, that's going to look pretty damn bad. However, again, probably going to follow whatever Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin picks it up here, Beaterall play does as well. If he fails to, then Beaterall is probably going to initiate some more downside. Let's go check out this was Mr. Beaterall. Let's talk about Mrs. Litecoin, this beautiful bitch over here. Come on, baby, show me your power. Oh man, you're so independent, so beautiful, and very, very nice. We actually do see Mrs. Litecoin well above that same yellow 21 exponential moving average, which this is a really good reaction off this region. I actually really like what it's done here. If we can end the week anywhere above the 21, which is about $94, I'd actually be looking over the next few weeks to retest into the like 110, 115-ish range. So this would be a pretty damn good reaction. Let's go to a daily and see what this one's looking like. Daily looks actually good here. I actually kind of like this setup on the daily. Now, we do want to see continuation of the upside pretty much like now. For this to look good, but any sort of a move back above 106.5 is gonna line up for a move much higher towards about 114, 115 target. Daily Stokes have freshly crossed the upside. We have not seen this happen on spot charts for Bitcoin just yet, and we do see daily RSI getting back above the exponential moving average right here, which is good. So I do think that this one actually does have a chance to kind of lead us out. And Mrs. Litecoin kind of has been leading the moves recently. Looking at the 4 hour right here, it can still go either way on the 4 hour. I'm not a huge fan of this price action right here. Let me actually just take, do I want to take off all these? We can get rid of this guy. We just need a couple horizontals here. To the upside, I'll be looking at this guy right here. Any sort of move back up above 102.5 would look good to me. Probably lines up for another move, another test towards that next few areas that we spoke about. If you want to use the lower time frames, by the same token, any sort of a move back down below $95, and we're probably coming back down to about 88 and lower over time, I'd imagine. But for right now, looking okay. What do we see on the 4 hour Stokes? 4 hour Stokes coming down. So daily up, 4 hour down. How many 4 hours can you fit in a daily? About 6. So yeah, it's gonna take its time, man, as I make sure that everything's good on over here. Jesus Christ, man. I really hope that my mic is actually working in this video because it's really, really long already. Let's go check out traditional markets really quick. 297 spot 26 to close the week out. So we do have a little bit of reversal action going on right here. We did hit all of our targets. We hit both our targets to the upside at $300, and then now we're coming back down. I'd say that this target probably gets extended down here towards about 295.5 coming into next week. But overall, did the weekly close strong? The weekly closed okay. It's not conclusive either way. If this was going to be reversal, I want to see us take out last week's low at 295.5. We'll have to reassess this one coming into next week. I don't have a strong opinion on this right here. We will see weekly Stokes get a little bit more tired. We will see weekly RSI coming back down and test the exponential here, and we have a little bit of bearish divergence going on. So if we do move anywhere below 295.5, that's going to be a problem, and we probably do come down all the way towards 290, maybe 289 region, somewhere right around here. But for right now, that's obviously not initiated, so that's a critical area that I'll be keeping an eye on. As long as that doesn't get hit, I mean, direction is still technically up, but it's starting to look a little bit more weak. Let's go check out the other top shitcoins. What about gold shitcoin, Mr. Peter Schiff shitcoin? Breakout faded almost immediately before it even starts. We're still holding up above the breakout trend line, but I really don't like these sorts of breakouts where they come back down to directly test the breakout point. Very rarely does a good breakout give you two chances to get a perfect position in. Does it happen? Yeah, but not that often. And to come back down to this region right here is not a sign of strength. It's kind of nasty is what it is. Now we do still see daily Stokes to the upside here, maintaining the bullish control zone. We do see daily RSI still looking constructive as well, albeit below the bullish control zone and below the exponential here. But I actually do think that this one probably does salvage itself, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back down in tags like 1410 or 1415 first, and then we'll kind of see if this wants to continue or not. But for right now, technically still okay. It's not till we actually close like a higher level dildo below 1420, sorry, about 1425, until this is like fully confirmed as a fake out breakout. Let's go to a weekly for a second. Weekly still looks okay, to be fair. Weekly still looks fine actually, and I do think that the weekly probably gets continued. I'd still probably be bullish on this. Yeah, I still think it's constructive, just sloppy as fuck. Let's go check out Link versus Bitcoin. Link versus Bitcoin coming back down. Looks like it wants to come back down and test 22 this base right here at about 23,000 satoshis. But overall, I do kind of consider this a healthy-ish consolidation. We've been running to the upside, kind of like Bitcoin, for the past 5-6 months, looking pretty damn good, and we're getting our first major consolidation after that. So probably going to grind this area out, and then I want to see it hook around. If it does break this horizontal right here at 23,000 satoshis, then we'll have some problems down to the next level, probably like 20,000 to 19,000-ish region. But while we're at it, let's just go check out the Bitcoin dominance chart. Not waste any time on this, on these Bitcoin pairings. But Bitcoin dominance chart does look like it wants to tick up here. I would say that this is likely going to, again, a test back around the 69 region. But I do still think that this local high is in, and that we do we don't surpass this high before going lower and coming down to like the 67 or a little bit below the 66 and a half to 67-ish range, and then get picked up here, and then I'd be bullish on it once again, because I am bullish on it long term. Shorter term though, I think it's likely that we have seen the local top being put in place. We did hit the measure move off this ascending triangle right here, and we also hit the measure move off of this massive flag formation right here from like last year. So a lot of bots and algos going to be targeting this region just by the nature of it, and sell off it as well as their targets met. But like I said, make no mistake, higher time frame still look bullish to me. The weekly long term is bullish, but also hitting the 200 exponential moving average, as you can see. So likely going to back off that region, and like I said, probably around, I'd probably extend that the downside target maybe down to like 66 or 66 and a half region, and that's probably going to allow a lot of alts versus Bitcoin to run in the next few weeks. I'd imagine over the next few weeks we probably do see a lot of alts run. So let's go check out Mr. Cardano. Is he putting in a little bit of a low right now on a daily? I hope so, yeah. And I do think that we hit the 650 target on Cardano. It's just going to take its time, sometime in the next couple weeks, or 2-3 weeks, whatever it ends up being. Let's go check out BNB, CZ's little pet shitcoin. Getting stifled right at the red 10 simple. Don't like that. Again, gonna follow whatever Bitcoin does most likely. 4 hour looks a little bit weaker. 4 hour does look like once come back down to about $28. But again, if Bitcoin breaks up here, this one will as well. If Bitcoin breaks down, then this one will as well. Upside target would be around $30.50 to $31. Zcash, what's Zcash doing? Kind of the same thing, pretty weak as well. This one's actually looking significantly weaker. Looking at daily, not a fan of this. Not even able to test the red 10 symbol, but again, gonna follow Bitcoin. If it does, probably hits a target of $85 to the upside. To the downside, $67, $68 would be first target, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about it after that. Bcash, same thing here as well. Kind of putting in a little bit of a better base, building up a case right here. But if this is gonna hold, you don't want to see it go anywhere below 290-ish again. again, if Bitcoin breaks up, this one's going to probably find its way towards like 340 to 350-ish region. Tron Cash, what's Tron Cash doing? Looks like he wants to break up as well, actually. 2.9 would be where I'm looking towards. This one looks actually okay here. We do see daily Stokes also freshly crossed into the upside as we do accelerate past. Actually kind of like the way that this one's set up right here. Not bad. One of the better ones. One of the better reactions, although most of them are getting fucking cream pied all the way down. Neo, same thing. Decent reaction here. We do see daily Stokes freshly crossing the upside. And I would say that we probably, if Bitcoin breaks up here, probably going to see a target of like 14.3 right around here. Right around those two moving averages would be the first target. If Bitcoin breaks to the downside, then, back down to $11, sub $11. What the fuck is going on here, man? Jesus Christ. Too much tuna and too much fucking messages going on right now. It's overwhelming. No, I shouldn't say that. It sounds fucking arrogant when I say something like that. It's, I appreciate the messages. Just sometimes I look at them piling up and I'm like, oh, fuck. Fuck me, man. Anyways, EOS right here, a little bit more of a weak, a little bit more of a laggard as well. If Bitcoin breaks the upside, target would be about 435 to the downside, basically prior lows and beyond. What else we got? Mr. Ripple's nipples, still valiantly holding that 30-cent region, the same region that's been holding for the past year. As long as it holds this region, I can't have any real massive downside targets. Now, if it breaks this region, oh yeah, we can talk about Mr. Ripples in fucking Brad Garlic House coming all the way down to the low teens, like 13 cents would be a target, and then shit, even the single digits around 8 cents would be a legitimate target from a longer term standpoint. It would also be the measure move off this as a pennant coming down. That would be pretty fucking nasty. But for right now, still holding it and okay. What about Monero Cash? What's this baby doing? 82.5. A better reaction than most as well, but getting rejected right at the red 10 simple. Not a big fan of these guys crossing right here either. That's typically not the best sign. Looking at a weekly. Weekly needs to close above $82.5, otherwise problems, or basically above 82. What about Stellar? Stellar Rumens. Looks like he's actually fighting for it right here. Wants to regain the purple true net exponential moving average on the weekly if he can. If he can close the weekly above 9.1, I'd be looking for moves probably back up towards the 10.5 cent region and beyond. Anyways, I think that does it for all the all the top shitcoins. We'll go back to Bitcoin right now. Again, just to kind of prove a little bit of skin in the game. I do have a running trade open right now, but this is kind of like a riskless trade for myself. If I were just looking at this right now, I would not be taking any trades in the middle of this range. We're literally brushing up against the two moving averages that are staring us right in the face and have been staring us right in the face. And if they do cross the downside, we'll initiate likely a around a 20% move to 25% move to the downside. Ultimate targets in the upper to mid 8,000s. Of course, there's going to be bounces along the way, so it's not just going to happen in like one Nicholas Martin snap, but I would say at like 9,600 would be first target, then 92, and then we can talk about like 86, 88, something like that, right? But for right now, right in the middle of this range, it's a test these guys once again. If you're bullish, you really want to see Bitcoin get back above this blue box territory right here. If it does, I do think that it'd be appropriate to be long once again, because not only will we break this, create a higher high, also avert the death cross, but we'll also take out the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the daily, which is very important. That would be my rule to actually be able to hold longs for the short and medium term once again. By the same token, if Bitcoin does break down here, if Bitcoin even loses the 4-hour 21 exponential moving average, that's probably going to be the fastest way to tell you that this is not going to end too well for the bulls. However, the blue box right here would be equally as important if you want to be a little more conservative. And if we got the death cross confirmed before any of those things happen, that would also be good enough for me for targeting downside moves as well. But for right now, it looks like the bulls want to put up a fight. Usually when I see an asset consolidate at major moving averages for a long time, that's actually a good thing. It's actually a sign of strength. We saw an example of it on the weekly 50, which everyone was talking about. Oh my God, the weekly 50 simple moving average rejected price action in 2014, and you know what that means? I'm going to sell it right now. Well, little do they know, whenever you can spend that much time consolidating at a region like that, as we did especially earlier this year, that's actually massively bullish. It's actually massively bullish. Anyways, right here, do I think the same thing? I'd rather be deductive. I'd rather be kind of removed from this price action. I don't want to put my opinion on it one way or the other. If I had to guess, I do actually think that it breaks the upside. But again, I don't trade my opinion. I trade technical analysis. I don't care what my opinion is. If we break this guy to the downside or get a death cross, I'm bearish and I'm looking for significantly lower targets. If we break this guy to the upside, then yeah, can probably hold some longs. Would still be considered an overall consolidation, but it'd really start to lead up to higher timeframes to looking a lot more healthy in this consolidation. And then we can start talking about targets into the fun areas once again, like 14,000, 15,000, 16,000 area. But for right now, I think that's going to do it. I do want to get this video out hopefully before the daily doodle closes, but that's going to happen with the processing power of this fucking computer. Jesus Christ, man. YouTube, up your shit. Anyways, without all my autistic rages, I do want to wish you well on this start to your weekend. I'm going to be signing off now. I'm going to go eat some food and try to relax my weekend away. Hope you're doing well as well. And as always, wish you the best of the best. Take care and see you soon.